paranormal, UFOs, monsters, mysteries. You're listening to Talking Weird. And now, from a cabin deep in the Northwoods, your hosts, Dr. Dean Bertram and Jenn Durrell.
Hey. Hey, baby.
Well, we just made it 2
Yes.
minutes late tonight, but that's okay. There was a little,
Fine. Yes.
the joys of single parenting.
Yes. I put a little message on Facebook letting them know that we had a little one that woke up. So.
Yes, but now we're all rolling.
Hopefully.
And this is going to be fun tonight because we've only done 2 shows before. Our second show of Talking Weird, where we introduced you, and the year anniversary show where we went through and did a wrap up of every episode we've done, where it was just you and me talking. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be fun, talking about the upcoming MidWest WeirdFest, which screens March 5 to 7, which is next weekend.
Yes.
At the Mycon Downtown Cinema in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And as usual, it's a cinematic celebration of all things fantastic, frightening, paranormal, and just plain weird. And I think it was your idea, which was a great idea, that tonight we would take a look at the program and play some trailers and chat about what's on the agenda for next weekend.
Yeah, I just figured not everybody has been to MidWest WeirdFest, so
they missed out.
Yeah, they might as well know what it's all about. So
okay, well, why don't we just roll into a breakdown of it, I guess.
Okay, works for me.
Okay, so I think we were going to did we want to start at the start, like start with opening night, or?
Sure. Do you want me to screen share what's going to happen the first night, or?
Sure. Why don't you can pull up the program if you want to, and we can take a look at the first film, which is a film called Ninja Badass by a director out of California. I believe his name is Ryan Harrison. He's also the star of the film, and he's hilarious. And it's there
we go.
This action-packed, just overflowing with gags and blood and over-the-top violence and effects about this kind of, I guess, white trash dropout who becomes obsessed with a girl who works at the local pet store. And when this rampaging gang of ninjas come along and kidnap her, he decides he needs to undergo this kind of crash course in ninja training to get the skills necessary to win her back from the evil ninja gang. And that's just probably in the first 10 or 15 minutes. But it's just a roller coaster of crazy and amazing talent. I can see Ryan Harrison becoming almost a household name one day. He's so funny. Like he's just exploding with talent. And I think this is his feature debut. So I'm delighted that that's the kickoff movie at 6 p.m. Do you have the trailer? Do we want to play the trailer for people to watch?
Let me add that. Let's see what it does. There we go.
I can do all that.
Let's go back. Somehow I had already played it.
Don't you teabag that drag! I'm a ninja now.
Oh no.
Don't take shit from nobody. Big Twitty, where'd you take that girl?
He's got a cannibal ninja death cult. He gains power every time he eats something purty or cute.
I want to save that girl. I like girls who are really hot.
Sweet. They're going to do a slow burn across the state of Indiana, culminating in a female sacrifice.
Here. You should stay
Joe
here.
Dirt.
This is ninja business.
You ain't a ninja, right?
It's a little dirt like.
Don't have to.
I'm a fucking ninja, motherfucker.
You can't fight. can't shoot straight. You can't even listen to a beautiful woman's problems.
I can do all that.
Oh my.
What the fuck's going on? Back out of here, you big piece of shit.
My goodness.
Some dragon loving right there at the end. Now that was a little staggered here on my end. Is it staggered while you're playing it, or is it just my crappy internet?
No, I think it's because I have too many of them loaded. So maybe I need to just not have all of those loaded.
Yeah, maybe unload them and find them as we go.
Yeah,
but anyway, I think it's a perfect kickoff for Midwest WeirdFest. It's just such an over the top and hilarious and weird film. I can't think of a better feature to get the festival, really starting this year. It's just so much fun. And following that on the Friday, that's Friday, March 5, 6 p.m. Ninja Badass, and at 7 p.m. at 8 p.m. is Lady Usher, which is an adaptation of the famous Edgar Allan Poe tale, Fall of the House of Usher, by a very talented director called George Adams. But it's just, in some ways it's a modernization, but it's also timeless because there's some period costumes used and the like in the movie, but it has a modern sensibility, and it's filled with traditional kind of Gothic tropes of, mysterious houses and strange family secrets. But there's a whole lot of dark eroticism and
a little bit.
Yeah,
that one I actually did watch.
You watched that today. Did you enjoy Lady Usher?
It's interesting. No, I enjoyed it. It was just I wasn't expecting it at the end, so
no,
a little shocker.
It is, but that's a good thing in a horror movie. And the lead actress, Teresa Santiago, I think her name is just spectacular. I mean, the whole cast is great. It's in many ways, the ensemble's what makes it so strong, I think, and the writing and the directing. It's just it's an adult content film, though. It's not something you'd want a teenager necessarily, or a kid to watch. Mind you, when I was a teenager, the amount of horror, as I'm sure my parents who always watch in Sydney, Australia, hi Mum and Alan, they would attest to all the ridiculous amount of horror content that I used to consume. In fact, a funny little side story, we used to be members of the local video library when a video was a library. It kind of dates me a little bit. And you would buy a subscription of that library for, I don't know what it was. It was probably a lot of money at the time, but now it still would be if you
like Blockbuster.
It was pre-Blockbuster. It was before there were those kind of chains in Australia. So I think maybe you paid $100 a year. I don't know what you paid, but you could go every day and you'd be able to just take a movie out. You'd already paid your subscription and you would just go and swap movies. So of course myself and my younger brother, being, preteen boys, just wanted to watch exploitation titles. So we would go there and get all the video, what in England they call the video nasty. So things like, Evil Dead and, the Phantasm movies. Absolutely. That's all we would consume. And one day we were in there and they had a new video store clerk. And I think I was there with maybe my mother and my brother and the video store clerk was looking at the titles of the type of, Incubus movies and Driller Killer and whatever else we were renting. He was like, don't you maybe a Disney movie would be better for you kids? And the other guy was like, oh, you don't know these kids. They don't watch any Disney. So anyway, my point is, I probably could have handled Lady Usher at a young age, but I was fairly desensitized. Speaking of being desensitized and strong content movies or strong content movie blocks, did we want to actually, before we move on, do we want to play the Lady Usher trailer?
I think I left that one up. So
okay, let's give it a go and see how
it. Hopefully it works better.
I don't think it's a good idea.
Go out there, be there for him. Meet his family, meet his mother.
What are you doing here? I told you it wasn't a good idea. Your stay might be a bit unnerving. Mother, I would like to introduce you to a friend from school, Morgan Segal. Morgan, my mother, Lady Usher.
I didn't know we were expecting visitors.
Your mother does not like me, does she?
You came to this house of your own accord, knowing that this was an extremely difficult time, and yet you gave no thought as to how your presence would affect our household.
She can be a little intense.
A little. I'd simply like a little information about my son and his girlfriend's relationship. You having sex?
I'm sorry she embarrassed you.
I will decide what is and is not appropriate to discuss at my dinner table. Perhaps a different topic of conversation would suit you better.
Dirty Mama.
It's a madhouse.
It's the house of Usher.
Yes, it is.
Those crazy ushers, the things they get up to.
Yeah.
But no, a fantastic, fantastic film. I really enjoyed that. I'm so glad that
I was waiting for them to show the brother, the one that was covered up. I was wanting to see what he looked like.
Well, don't give too many spoilers. Maybe you do. Maybe you missed it. Maybe you didn't wait till the end credits or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah. Shut up, Jen. I actually watched that one.
That's all good. And the film that follows that on the Friday night is from festival alumnus Chad Ferrin. And we played a film of his called The Chair at MidWest WeirdFest, I think in year 2, which is just this brutal horror prison movie, which I think was the last film that Rowdy Roddy Piper, somebody who's a personal hero of mine, actually starred in before he passed. And I think in Sydney, I might have played at a Night of Horror International Film Festival that I used to run and program in Sydney. I think I played a film called Parasites by Chad Ferrin then, and I might have played another one of his films over the years. He's a pretty prolific and a very talented filmmaker. And of course, The Deep Ones, as anybody who's familiar with H.P. Lovecraft is probably aware of that title, is an adaptation of Lovecraft stories, and particularly one Lovecraft story. But they play very well together. I think Lady Usher being a modern adaptation of an Edgar Allan Poe story, and then immediately followed by The Deep Ones being a modern adaptation of an H.P. Lovecraft story. Again, a fantastic cast. Again, probably a lot of content not appropriate necessarily for the pre-18 set. And a lot of the films at the festival, a lot of the features, particularly the ones which we don't have directors Q&Aing afterwards, so we've got a bit more time, play with short films as well. And the 2 short films that play before the Deep Ones are kind of vaguely related. I tried to program it thematically, and one's called Unagi, I think you pronounce it, by an incredibly talented actress come director, Sam Fox, who stars and directs, and I think she wrote that movie as well, and filmed by a Japanese director whose name is Kenichi Agana, called Extraneous Matter. And my goodness, Extraneous Matter is again something that it shouldn't be watched by anybody who doesn't want to see some explicit content. Fantastic Japanese erotic horror movie, though, a short. I think it runs for about 20 minutes, but both of those play before the Deep Ones. And that's our Friday night. So yeah, with Friday we get in, we play 3 amazing movies, and then people can go home by midnight and rest and get ready to come back for the Saturday, which kicks off at noon. Do we have a Deep Ones trailer there?
I do, but Lady Usher, it also shows the Grandpa Diaries. Is that right? Or no, the Phantom Freebird?
Oh yeah, we should talk about that. You're right. We didn't talk about the shorts on
because those
all in fact so far every film has had the other films have also had shorts play before them, both Lady Usher and Ninja Badass. I just happened to not talk about every short, so we didn't we didn't run out of time. The only reason I happen to mention the Deep ones because they were thematically quite similar, but it's to the Deep Ones, the shorts that play before it. But that said, I'm glad you brought up the Grandpa Diaries, which you're right, does play before the Deep Ones. In fact, the Grandpa Diaries is this incredible web series, and your average episode is, I think, maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Very poignant, very funny, and the first series runs for 13 episodes, and we've got 13 feature film slots at the festival this year. So the Grandpa Diaries submitted a couple of episodes to the festival, and I watched them, and I really liked them. I said, let's see more, and we could do all 13 episodes at the festival. So the people who are season pass holders and are regular attendees are going to get to see every single episode of the Grandpa Diaries if they come to all the sessions.
Awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. Just such incredible filmmakers.
Okay, so you want me to find?
I was going to say maybe play the Deep Ones trailer. Let's see how StreamYard handles.
I had all those up, but it looked like it was making it lag.
Yeah, I think it was lagging a little bit. Well, we've never loaded 13 videos.
I had either.
Before, so there you go.
Okay.
Going to Solar Beach Colony?
Yes.
Is that a view or what?
Wow.
That's amazing.
Oh, you're gonna make a wonderful mother. I can see it in your eyes.
We want
That's Friday night.
so much.
What you
Everybody wants to see Friday night.
A child completes it.
Cthulhu. Cthulhu.
How they're monsters.
What?
Creatures of the sea.
See the light?
What is it?
Open the door. Don't
He
be
looks like the guy from Poltergeist.
Listen, I've heard about some of these cults. They're into all this Necronomicon. Not gonna hurt you.
They'll hurt you.
We are the esoteric order of Dagon. See the glorious light within us all.
Yeah, that actor you said looked like he was from Poltergeist. I think that's the famous character actor Robert Miano, I think is his name.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and in fact, the whole cast are great in that movie. It's kind of, as I guess people who are horror savvy can tell by watching the trailer. It's very much, it brings to mind very much films like Polanski's Rosemary's Baby, mixed with those great 80s Lovecraft adaptations by Stuart Gordon. So yeah, it's a heck of a film for horror fans.
Yeah.
I'm
That one looks
delighted.
good. I want to watch that one.
Yeah, in fact, it's great, and it's perfect for a late night film. That's why it's 10 o'clock on a Friday. You know, it's that kind of movie.
Yeah.
And then you can still be done by 12, and you still can go home, get a little bit of sleep, and bounce back for the Saturday first screening, which are the horror and sci-fi shorts, which are traditionally, I think we always play at MidWest WeirdFest, the selection of films from those genres at midday on the Saturday. That said, of course, there were other horror and sci-fi short films buried throughout the program, or not hidden, but within the program in front of other feature films as well. But a selection of just horror and sci-fi shorts playing on their own play on the Saturday at noon, and there's a bunch of incredible movies. I don't even know where to start to do them all justice. There's a film in there I think I was talking to you about the other day called Silly Simon by Johnny Skinner.
Yeah.
Again, not safe for young eyes, even though it's a noon film. Super erotic, super violent, just so clever and fantastic. I don't know, it reminds me of a Tarantino movie meets Scanners meets Species or something. Just a fantastic short movie. We have another film in the program from a festival alum, J.M. Logan, who directed a movie called Lunch Ladies that I think I programmed it. Yeah, and it actually it has Johnny Depp in it, not The Relic, but Lunch Ladies, which I was about to get to The Relic, but Lunch Ladies, fantastic horror comedy that I think I programmed at both A Night of Horror International when I was still programming there and at Midwest WeirdFest a couple of years ago. But The Relic is a movie that looks like it should be a feature. It feels like a film maybe like The Thing. It has a very isolated sense of a group of explorers by themselves, menaced by this monstrous entity, and beautifully shot, fantastically scored, and just an amazing movie. There's films from Australia, my hometown, in there as well. For example, Enzo Tedeschi, who is a very talented filmmaker out of Sydney, Australia. We have a film from him called Over the Edge, which actually has the star of Bad Boy Bubby, which cult film fans might be aware of. Another film called Golem by Ryan Gauchi actually stars a friend of mine from Sydney, Jamie Leonardo, who's been on the show. He came on the show to talk about ETs. It was one of the episodes you couldn't do, and we mainly talked about extraterrestrials and alien abduction. Jamie Leonardo plays an SS officer in that short film who's menacing, I guess, a Jewish occultist, but the Jewish occultist has some tricks up his sleeve in the shape of the infamous Jewish legend / I guess monster, the Golem. So that's great. I mean, just film after film. I literally can't talk about them. Oh, they're all so good. Pew 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 is this amazing science fiction comedy drama set in a sci-fi comic convention kind of place. There's so many. There's like I think there's 13, 14 shorts there. We could fill the whole program.
What's the message from the future about with this lit up dude?
Oh, I love Message from the Future. It's Message from the Future is absolutely fantastic. It's an animation which has a time traveler from the future.
Oh, I already
flashback
like that.
To I think it's like the late 1990s or something is when it's meant to be. And the people there, the kind of, I don't know what they would have been in the day, slackers or something, are just aren't interested in this message this person has from the future. They just want to know what happens on the show Lost, for example. Right. And I'm a big fan of the show Lost.
I know.
I was just like, oh my goodness, when I was watching that short, I was in hysterics. Just so much fun. Yeah, an incredible short animation, but a world class shorts program. I mean, I've been programming short films now for over 15 years, and I think this is one of the best programs I've ever put together.
Yeah, it looks good. And
I would encourage anybody who wants to see the rest of the shorts to at least to check out who they're by and the likes, to go and just go to MidWestWeirdFest.com, and you'll just click straight through to the program and you'll be able to check it out. But we have an amazing feature following, an incredible horror movie called The Stairs following at 2 p.m. on Saturday, March 6th.
That one.
By director Peter Drago Tiemann. And I love the originality of this film. Actually, after I programmed it, I called Peter just to congratulate him on how strong the film was, and to tell him what I loved most about it was a lot of horror these days use similar ideas. And this, to me, seemed to tie more into the work of David Paulides, who wrote Missing 411, and about the type of paranormal and occult stories you hear about people wandering in the woods and just coming across a doorway or coming across a mysterious set of stairs or something, which is popular in creepypasta and stuff like that. The idea that there's something out there in the woods, and what happens to people when they discover these things, and what happens, and where do the people go who go missing? The David Paulides stories, or at least the stories that David Paulides has made famous. So why don't we play a trailer for The Stairs?
Okay, let's see. Let's find that one. Share.
No, I found that film very creepy. And there's some funny moments in it as well. Not that it's a horror comedy, but there are some moments which really made me laugh as well. Very capably directed. I think Peter's background is, I think he was like a stuntman or an armorer or something. This is his first directorial debut. Is this from the beginning?
Let's see.
What did you say? You can tell
me.
I know.
This is one I tried to watch earlier.
Yeah, you got to start from the beginning.
It just goes automatically where I stopped at.
Everything is going to be fine. Just give her some time. What did you say? You can tell me. I know what I saw, but I want to know what all of you saw. You're gonna be okay. We're all gonna be okay. This is far from okay, man. You all are acting like seeing a maggot, baby, and a man shooting himself in the head as a normal day of hiking. What are you, scared of some stairs in the woods?
Depends where it leads.
Yeah, great cast, including John Schneider, I think, who's from Smallville, and I think he was one of the brothers in the Dukes of Hazzard as well, right? Is that John
really?
Schneider? I think so. I'm just saying that from memory, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, the whole cast is amazing, so it's definitely worth checking out. And then following at 4 p.m., we have the world premiere of the featured directorial debut from Zach Lohner, who's a filmmaker that we've played a couple of shorts at the festival over the years. Incredible young talent. It's a movie called He Who Lives in Hidden Lakes. And it's kind of part experimental film. It has a kind of part mock doc feel. Anybody who is interested in cryptids or high strangeness or out there cinema is just going to love He Who Lives in Hidden Lakes. I was so delighted when that film came across my desk. I'm like, this is a perfect fit for MidWest WeirdFest.
Okay, I'll share it. I want to make sure it doesn't, because I did watch it. It seems to go where I stopped. So let's see. He Who Lives in Hidden Lakes.
And Zach's going to be at the festival to introduce the Q&A as well. And so is his
This
brother,
entity
Lucas
has
Lohner. And so is
bewildered the town of Hidden Lakes, Illinois.
I met up with the hidden man, you know, and he just kind of ruined my life, you know, because he brought me into his.
Some say he is a relative of Bigfoot, others an alien, and others simply a deranged bum living primitively in the acres of Forest Preserve.
I try not to fuck around with the woods because he lives there, but I just saw shit.
Blended in with the shadows.
Yeah, like kind of camo.
Sometimes he comes and he's such a blur like me. I never really get a good look at him.
At night, it's like the Grim Reaper.
He ventures out of the woods to assault and vandalize the suburban sprawl, disappearing as quickly as he came.
As soon as I turned the corner over there was like a smoke bomb. All of a sudden, I got tackled to the ground and we fought. He got some licks in, I got some licks in.
Sometimes he comes looking for a fight. Happens so sudden and so quick, there's no chance to prepare yourself.
Keeps the hidden man away. Don't question it. As far as we do that, he doesn't attack us.
He's often dismissed as an urban legend, but some believe that his nature is metaphysical.
He was like chanting something, you know, and the smoke's coming out of his hands, you know. It was like an out-of-body experience. I'm like traveling in time and traveling in different worlds with him. And we're both like overlooking the entire universe.
Whatever he is, these are the stories of lives forever altered by the hidden man.
Just such a gem of an indie film. It's fantastic. People should really get along to see the world premiere. It's not that often you get to see a film start its festival run and also get to chat to the director, star, and composer. So I really encourage people to get along to that session. That's one of the highlights of the festival. And now, speaking of festival highlights and speaking of world premieres, you're
I'm just opening it up. So
sure, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can,
Just
screen.
a
And of
little
course, because there's a Q&A, there aren't many shorts that play with that, although the Grandpa Diaries will be playing before it, just like the Grandpa Diaries plays before everything else. But yeah, so speaking of world premieres, as I was saying, and speaking of very special treats, this is probably the most unique cinematic experience I've ever programmed in 15 years of being a film festival programmer. It's a film called The Blair Rabbit Project, which, as its title kind of suggests, is a comedic riff, I guess, on the Blair Witch Project. There's several fascinating things about this film, but let's start at the most fascinating. This film was actually shot in 1999. It was made at the time to be a parody of what then was the biggest pop phenomenon in horror films in, probably a decade or more. And for various reasons, the film was going to had I believe, my limited understanding of what happened is it had a large distribution deal planned, and there was some issue, and it had to get pulled, and it never has been screened before today, or before next weekend. In fact, in a week's time, we would have finished this film only recently. It just would have played if we flash forward a week. But it's spectacular. It's hilarious. It's made by Kerry Pryor, who I first met when I screened or programmed and screened a film of his called The Revenant at a Night of Horror in Sydney, Australia in 2010. And Kerry came out for that screening. And I've never seen a standing ovation at a festival resembling what The Revenant got in Sydney, Australia. It was phenomenal. It was a full house. It was one of our, I don't know, I'm trying to remember when the screening was. It was a popular session time, obviously, but because it was such a great film, I gave it a great slot. But it was a full house. We'd sold out every seat in the house. And when the film finished and Kerry took the stage to do the Q&A, almost everybody in the house stood and applauded. And you don't see that usually. And it didn't stop. There's a video that I think one of my friends took of Kerry just going like, thank you, like it was like a major award show. Thank you, as the applause just kept going and going and going. So that's when I met Kerry, and when we did the Australian premiere of his feature film, The Revenant. And I knew the Blair Rabbit Project existed. I knew it had floated around. And when Kerry, I think, either found a copy or realized he could finally release it or whatever, when I became conscious of that, we were like, yeah, let's play this film at MidWest WeirdFest, because nobody's ever seen it before, and it's fantastic. And Kerry's going to be there to introduce and to Q&A, and he's an absolute blast of a festival guest. And speaking of screening The Revenant in Sydney, do we have a Blair Rabbit trailer before I go on?
Yeah, I think I do.
Well, why don't we play that right now?
Snag that one. There it is. Let's see.
Dude, we need some can for this episode, remember? She'll do nudity.
2000.
You get the map?
I don't have it.
What? You don't have the fucking map?
Dun dun dun.
Oh, these quotes are hilarious.
No, we're not lost.
You just said you don't know where we are.
I know where we are.
Where?
Right here.
In the middle of nowhere.
The scariest movie since The Grinch.
We're lost.
No, we're not.
Give me the map.
No.
Give me the no.
Fauci.
What? This is the same fucking log.
Rolling Stones. Cat fancy. Love it.
Holy shit! Let's get out of here!
They got the eyeball. Oh, that looks good.
Oh, it's so good.
That looks good.
The funniest thing is Kerry had no idea we were talking about him or screening. I got a Facebook message during this from Kerry about the DCP for The Revenant, just out of the blue. Like, it had just the weirdest thing. And he wasn't like, I'm watching the show. He had no idea.
Oh.
I don't even know if he saw my reply saying, watch the show we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, Blair Rabbit Project, get along, see that at 8:00 on Saturday, March 6th next weekend. And Kerry will be there to introduce. And talking about The Revenant and the fact that I screened it in 2010. As I mentioned, Oh, here
It's
we
The
go.
Revenant.
We're looking at The Revenant. As I mentioned, I thought
Revenant.
another trailer was playing. I'm like, what on earth? It looks the same
No.
here. As I mentioned in the show notes there on that page you're looking at now, and
Yeah.
an open secret amongst most of my friends in Sydney who know me well and friends in the filmmaking, good friends in the filmmaking community, is my favorite movie I've ever programmed at a film festival, and I've been programming again for over 15 years. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of films I've programmed, is The Revenant. Like, I played it in 2010 in Sydney, and it became the go-to after drinking movie for me and my friends in Australia. Like, if we went out and partied, and if we didn't go our own ways, if we ended up going back to somebody's house together, it would be normally my friend Pablo's. It would be The Revenant that we'd watch when we were drunk at 2 a.m. in Sydney, or 3 or 4 in the morning. You know, this was the go-to, because it's a movie about friendship, and it's super funny, and it's super violent, and it's super politically correct. It's the exact type of movie you want to watch with your buddies when you've been drinking at that hour. And it's also, like I said, my favorite film I've ever programmed. So when we were doing the Blair Rabbit project, after Kerry submitted it anyway, I was like, we should do a retrospective. You're coming to the festival. It just clicked. Why don't we do a retrospective screening of The Revenant? So we are also, after the Blair Rabbit project finishes, we're rolling straight into The Revenant on Saturday night. We'll be playing at this time right now, in a week's time, The Revenant will be on the Mic on Downtown screen, and Kerry will be there to introduce and to Q&A, and I'll get to relive my favorite programming moment of my life, which was back in 2010.
Yeah.
So I'll get to play The Revenant again and get to host a Q&A with Kerry at the end of it again. So I can't wait. What a blast that's going to be. And in fact, we are going to have Kerry on in the near future, I believe, on Talking Weird, not just to talk about Blair Rabbit Project and The Revenant, but Kerry has a deep and esoteric knowledge of many things, including like free energy and Bigfoot and MK Ultra, and he's a blast to have these kind of conversations with. So yeah, we're going to have Kerry on the show very soon to chat about all of those kind of things. And Kerry just finally messaged me. He said, yeah, I'm listening, lol. So, hey, Kerry, we're looking forward to having you at the festival next weekend, mate. So that's going to be a really good time. And for those people who aren't too frightened of the dreaded virus at the moment, I'm pretty sure that Kerry would join you for a drink next door in the bar after or before the screenings, or at any time. Kerry's a brave human being. Things like viruses don't scare him at all. So okay, so and that closes out the Saturday.
Do you want me to play The Revenant? I think
you have to play. I hope you have The Revenant trailer.
Yeah, I do. I made sure I had all of them.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, let's roll straight in The Revenant trailer.
Let's get that going. Let's see. I hit the button.
It's me. It's Bart. You're supposed to be dead.
Oh, Jesus. Fuck, that is not fucking cool. Nasty.
I think that this is maybe more than just a bug.
That's new.
He's undead. He'll roam the countryside in search of victims to satiate his thirst for human blood.
He's sick. He has a virus.
You have to chop off his head. We'll need to drink human blood. If he doesn't, his soul will be in eternal agony.
That is so wrong.
Okay, you gotta help me.
You want me to kill them?
These are the dregs.
Okay, this already looks really
No
good.
jobs. No.
Seriously. You think someone's gonna notice if they don't show up at the freeway exit ramp one day?
Oh, thank you very much, sir.
I've put up with a lot from you.
There's no such thing as vampires or zombies.
Not according to the internet.
Your inability to commit.
Just give me some fucking blood, lady.
Scientology can help you find
Oh,
your
hell
place
no.
in life.
Fuck up, Buck up!
and now rising from the dead.
Te maté, cabrón. I fucking killed you, ese?
Dude, you got shot. A lot.
What the hell do you do?
What's it like dying and then coming back?
When was the last time you had a stress test?
I feel like I've been given a second chance.
You could make me a vampire, but whatever we have to do to give me the dark gift.
Drop the fucking gun. Get your fucking screwed. Drug dealers, Janet. They saved my life. If I don't get blood, I will decompose. I'll rot.
Vigilante gunslingers. How fucking cool is that?
Want to be fucking hero?
I'm one-legged guy.
Death toll rises as search for local crime-fighting outlaws intensifies.
I woke up in a fucking lake.
Find your own ride into the
Wanko toys.
I was like, fucking ear! You fucking shot my ear!
Fuck you! You are the worst friend.
That's awesome. I like that.
It's so good, and it's such a joy to watch on a big screen as well with
I bet.
with an audience. The funny thing is, when I watched that trailer, it reminds me so much of years in Sydney after we'd screened the film, because the language of that film, the dialogue, became such a central part of myself and my inner circle of friends. Like, we would quote that film just casually all the time, you know, like the dialogue would just flow out of our mouths. And this is, I know Kerry better now, but at the time I just played his film and had him at the festival. We would drunk dial Kerry at, like, I don't know, our time 4 or 5 in the morning while we were watching The Revenant, and just start, like,
just
you know,
quoting
the movie to him, you know. And we were super. That was funny. I apologize, Kerry, if you're still listening, for all those drunken phone calls you used to get from Pablo and myself in the wee hours of, I don't know what the time would have been. Maybe it was a reasonable time in America. Maybe it wasn't such a crazy time to get a phone call, but it was a crazy time for us to be calling. So yes, enough glowing about The Revenant. Fantastic. People should definitely come and check that out. And even though I mentioned that Kerry, I'm sure, will happily have a drink with you in the bar if you're not concerned with the COVID, for those who are particularly concerned, as I know many people are, the Micon Downtown Cinema does have a fairly strict COVID policy. They'll only sell to 50% capacity. They have increased cleaning protocols at the moment, and masks are required in the foyer and also in the auditorium, unless you're eating or drinking. So that's for people who want to know what I hadn't really thought that much about COVID protocols because I live in the middle of the woods, so it doesn't really affect me here. But I had messages from a number of people who were concerned, so I checked with the Micon, and it's fairly strict COVID policies there for people who are concerned. So speaking of COVID, speaking of the apocalypse, speaking of these dark days, after you've enjoyed The Revenant and rolled out of there at midnight on the Saturday, you can come back on Sunday to watch the Apocalypse Already shorts program, which I put together in honor of these crazy times. They're all short films which deal with, I guess, the apocalypse in one way or another, whether it's culturally, whether it's a future where the nature of humanity changes, whether it's a legitimate viral type apocalypse like we're moving through at the moment, or whether it's like, for example, I'm just looking at the program now, we have a short playing there called The Truth About Hastings by Dan S. Dan S. actually screened with us in year 1 at MidWest WeirdFest in 2017 with a fantastic documentary called Vor King that I would encourage anybody who wasn't easily offended to check out. And Dan's an incredibly talented filmmaker, and his film, The Truth About Hastings, imagines, I guess, a small rural town if it was really somehow under the control of something that wasn't human, and that we were already living in the middle of this, I suppose, other intelligence controlled future. So that is apocalyptic in its own right. There are movies like Cabin for Two, which imagine a loner who living in the apocalypse, just hoping to find a partner for himself. Sundown Trail, which imagines a fungal type virus which is keeping humanity masked and terrified. an incredibly strong animation called Sucker from Stephen Lepkevic. I always mispronounce his name. Lepkevic, who we've screened a number of shorts from in the past. Incredibly strong animator. Anyway, again, this is a program I could talk about all night, and I won't. There's another guest from that program coming as well as Dan Estow, Amber Rose McNeil, who's actually an Australian filmmaker who now lives in, I believe, Milwaukee. And her short, which starts the program, Normal Porn for Normal People, is this kind of acquired footage, I suppose, montage where she cuts together interviews with serial killers and clips from the video nasty era of kind of violence and action movie violence, and looks at the fetishization, I guess, of violence within modern culture. So that also, although it's not the apocalypse most people think about, maybe it's indicative that we've been living in an apocalyptic culture for a long time already. Another short, actually, from this neck of the woods, I believe, or not from my neck of the woods, but further south also, I think, in the Milwaukee area. And I believe the producer from that movie is coming. It's called Neighbors of the Apocalypse, which imagines two people, not unlike these current times, talking through a Skype type interface or a Zoom type interface rather than in person, but it's in the apocalypse, and they're trading all kinds of weird and dangerous and obscure and nasty items back and forth. So that also speaks of these current times, I think. So yeah, people who love shorts, people who like apocalyptic cinema, get along to see Apocalypse Already shorts program at the Micon.
Okay.
And the following film that day, The Explorer, we've already had the director of. It's an incredible document.
Yeah.
When I say have the director of, we had the director of The Explorer on Talking Weirds about, when was it? A couple months ago now. Alexandre Brecheur, who's a French expat who works for a number of different NGOs. I think he might work for the UN at the moment. And he spends a lot of time in Africa. And I think he was based for a long time in the Pacific type area. But The Explorer, I believe, found out about the topic of when he was working in Africa in a wildlife preserve, and he tells the story far better than I'm going to, so people should check out that Talking Weird episode with Alexandre Brecheur talking about The Explorer, when he was in a wildlife preserve and the elephants, and there were 150 elephants in that preserve, stampeded, and the military or the game wardens he was with said, oh yeah, they're probably scared of the Mekele Mbembe. And he said, what's the Mekele Mbembe? And they explained to him what the Mekele Mbembe was, and it's essentially a sauropod type dinosaur or giant lizard or giant reptile, but it sounds exactly like a brontosaurus almost, maybe a slightly miniaturized version, that's meant to still live within the Congo Basin in Africa. And the documentary follows Michel Belot, who's a famous French cryptozoologist, on one of his expeditions looking for the Mekele Mbembe. And it's just an incredible documentary. It's beautifully shot. It really looks at the struggles of what it's like to be out in the field looking for that kind of creature. And there's some revelations in there as well, I think, for people who are cryptozoologists and interested in cryptids. Is definitely worth seeing. So if you want to play the Explorer trailer, if you've got that, punch into that for sure.
Let's get that one going.
And screening with that's a great another short documentary called Fupa, and as is another film or two. But the director of Fupa, Gustavo Martin's coming in for the festival as well. So Fupa's about a rat that has a tumor and what the owner's going to do. Anyway, here's the Explorer trailer. I'll stop talking.
Ce que je veux, c'est la rencontrer, qu'il y ait une sorte d'illumination, qu'il y ait quelque chose d'exceptionnel qui se passe.
La bête, elle n'est pas de loin, elle n'est pas de loin de nous. C'est son corps, c'est son don là qui soulevait. On cherche l'animal là.
Je t'ai déjà dit qu'en Afrique, il y a des choses qui
Pour moi, ça a toujours été un rêve de voir cet animal pendant des années. Et bien là, ce sera la fin du rêve. Ce sera la réalité.
D'accord, je dis, est-ce que vous allez supporter la tradition?
Ah, je sais pas.
Just a fantastic documentary. And Wayne Klingman, who's a very good friend of mine, just popped in to say that he loved the podcast with Alexander Brasher. Everybody should definitely listen to it. Wayne Klingman is actually one of the reasons I got into the film festival game to begin with. For those who might be vaguely interested in my background, or maybe you're not, you're going to have to suffer and hear it anyway. When I was finishing my PhD, I'd made a short film called Foresta Rossa with my girlfriend of the time and my brother. And we played at a number of festivals, not in Australia though, but in festivals overseas, including a festival that Wayne Klingman used to run in Wisconsin called, it came from Lake Michigan, down in the Milwaukee area. Ironically, at the time, I never knew I was going to live in Wisconsin, but we submitted and we played at Wayne's festival. And I think we won an award there. I can't even remember what it was, but it was some award, maybe, I don't know. I don't even want to guess. I can't remember what it was. But after we played Wayne's festival and several other festivals in different places around the world, we were very conscious there wasn't a genre-specific festival in Australia. So that's why back then I started with my brother and, as I mentioned, my ex-girlfriend at the time, why we started a Night of Horror film festival. It was because we wanted basically to have somewhere to play our own short film, because back at the day, festivals were fairly conceited in Australia, and the whole film industry wasn't particularly genre friendly. I think that's changed a lot in the last 15 years. But at the time, we didn't even submit it to festivals in Australia because we knew it wouldn't play there. So that's how A Night of Horror was started. And that was in many ways because of Wayne Klingman. So thank you, Wayne, for driving me into poverty and shoving me on the route into being a film festival director. No, I'm joking, mate. But no, that's an interesting story. And we played one of Wayne's films, I think in 2019, or was it 2018? It might have been 2018. Wayne came up to the festival, and we played one of his mob-based films. I think Wayne, as well as being a genre guy, writes books about the mob and makes films about the mob. So I would encourage people to find Wayne on Facebook, and I think Milwaukee Mob is probably his Facebook page you can go to, or Indie Film Wisconsin. I think there's a page for that as well. Wayne's always doing interesting stuff, and he has a live podcast as well, a live video stream that he does. So yeah, check out Wayne Klingman's stuff. Okay, so where were we? We were at the Explorer, and as I mentioned, Fupa plays before it, and Gustavo Martin is coming up to present that short documentary. So that will be a really fun session. So make sure you get along to that. And at 4 p.m., we actually have two different sessions playing. We have the Paranormal Visions short session playing, and we also have a feature playing in the other cinema there. But let's talk about, I guess, Paranormal Visions first, because that content is close to both your and my heart. And in the past, we've had a number of the filmmakers playing in that session actually on the podcast. So we had Bianca Biasi only a couple weeks ago, really, or was it 3 weeks ago? We had Bianca on the show to talk about her spectacular Australian paranormal television series, The Space Between, which looks at Australia's maybe most haunted location, which is called the Quarantine Station. I would encourage people to check out the Q Station. I think it's called the Q Station now because they've tried to reimagine it and make it cooler. But it was the old Quarantine Station where people who came to Australia used to have to be quarantined, and so obviously people died there from disease and things. So there's all kind of trauma and tragedy. That's a spectacular series, and we're playing an episode of that, and it's like a 45-minute the first episode. So that's one of the highlights. They're all fantastic films. We also had which we'll talk about their feature in a minute, but we also had AV Super Sunshine and his wife and creative partner Victor Filomena on the show. Was that last week or the week? It was last week, wasn't it, that we had them on?
Yes.
and we're playing a short of theirs, which is kind of the story which the documentary becomes in that session. We've had Jason Hewlett on the show before, who has since become a good friend of mine. He's an incredible talent. He's written a book recently for Shannon LeGros publishing firm, which I'd encourage people to pick up and read as well. But we're playing one of the investigations of his series, which is called We Want to Believe. We're playing the barn episode. And did you want to play a trailer for that? Let's roll that trailer.
Well, let me get rid of this real quick.
It's more interesting than hearing me babble anyway. And there's also another great alien abduction documentary called Rift on there, and a film from Hammerson Peters, who's this incredibly talented writer, and he also makes these great animated documentaries called Second Sight in Northern Canada. I'd encourage you to check out Hammerson Peters' stuff as well. It's on YouTube. It's fantastic. So look, watch some of his docos, but come to the festival to see his latest.
Sure, I get the correct one here. Let's see. Oops. Don't want one I've already played. Of course, it's one I've already played.
The ones you've already played. And there's an incredible film from Australia in that session as well called The Haunted Lake, which is just this evocative, ghostly vision of what a lake's like, with glowing ghost lights hovering around and perhaps spirits of the dead residing under the lake. So, yeah, an incredible session for anybody with an interest in the paranormal.
It's thinking about it.
Yeah, it is thinking about it. I'm trying to fill the dead space with my voice.
It's doing. Hang on. It's not gonna.
I can't hear the volume.
Sorry, hang on. It's being a stinker.
Yeah. Interestingly, as you saw the Joe Blow thing at the beginning, or the arrow in the head thing, that's how I kind of first found out about Jason's work. A friend of mine, John Fallon, who's a film producer and actor, writer, director, produced this series, and so it had been on Shannon LeGros' fantastic Into the Fray podcast, and then I saw John had produced it, so that's how we first got to have Jason on the show. So let's try it again.
We're gonna try this again.
How sweet, fresh meat.
Possible.
9 years ago, I drove by this place, and my hair stood on end.
We're a ghost hunting show, and sooner or later you got to bring in a psychic, right?
She's telling me the kitchen's been changed. All of a sudden, water droplets would be falling on me. Water's a conduit. Just hesitant to go up there. It's not welcoming.
I've never heard anything like it.
I just feel that I'm intruding.
The police showed up.
I can feel sensations coming over my body.
Anytime a spirit attaches itself to you, it's not a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I would encourage people to go and check out
it's very good.
various episodes if we want to believe. It's so great.
So apparently the police were called. We'll see what that reads when we get outside.
2 on that one.
We can only keep playing.
Did you guys get 5-0 called on us?
Quite funny considering the nature of why they turned up outside.
My name is Jenn, and I'm a psychic medium. Her voice, people hear her voice. It's a female voice that they hear.
Okay, is there anybody in the room with us?
Ah, the battery's died!
There might be something that Peter captured.
I have trouble with a lot of this because I don't believe.
Peter Wren's great too, the paranormal investigator who yelled the batteries died. We're playing both of those episodes back to back in the paranormal short session. It's nice to see Lee Steiner say hello and that he's hyped for the fest. Lee's bought a season pass. He's been to the festival before. So, hey, Lee, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the festival. And I think you will be, your hype is well justified because it's going to be a heck of a fest. And that episode, I think we want to believe spiritual or ghost type of investigations hit a nerve with you, or you feel particularly probably, I suppose, attached to them in a way because you're a paranormal investigator?
Yeah. Just not
well,
professionally. I do it, for myself. But
well, I mean, that doesn't mean it's any less worthwhile. Well, not professionally yet. Who knows what the future holds?
You never know.
You might have your own show. Well, you do. You have Haunted Jen, which I encourage people to go and check out if they haven't seen the latest episode of Haunted Jen. You just dropped that like a week or two ago.
It's
right?
more like a vlog, but trying.
It's still good. And you went and investigated the Belvoir Winery in
Yes,
Missouri.
I did.
In what town is it in Missouri?
Liberty, Missouri. Very active. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Haunted Jen. I'm so proud of you with that show. It's so great. You're only in a couple episodes. They've gotten better so far. I think it's just going to go strength to strength to strength. I can't wait till the next episode.
I'm learning.
You're learning well.
It's fun though. So.
But yeah, people should definitely check out Haunted Jen.
Yes.
And also playing at 4 p.m. on the Sunday is a film called Trance from Korea by a director. Her name is Nori Do. It's fantastic and it's bonkers, and I mean that in the best way. It's just crazy, and sometimes why it's so much fun sometimes to watch foreign language films is because there's often a different sensibility than what we have in the English-speaking West. So in a way, this film, I don't know, it reminds me of a cross between Matrix, Battle Royale, Fight Club, like just this merger of all of these crazy off-the-wall type films. And it's essentially about a girl who's being bullied in her school, and she has an eating disorder, and I don't know if we ever really know why she has an eating disorder, but she has an eating disorder, and the bullies try to make her eat like, burgers covered with mustard or things which are, quite strong to, I guess the sense of smell and taste. And she gets bullied all the time, and she wants to become a transhuman. And the way you become a transhuman in the world of trance is you undergo extreme electric shocks. And then you somehow evolve to this other state of consciousness, which is totally crazy, but it's totally makes sense within in the realm of trance. And so when she finally gets her wish to undergo this kind of, literally shocking baptism, she can have her revenge on the bullies who tormented her. But then, of course, as you can imagine, there's tears before bedtime, and somehow she has to try to use her giant Tesla coils to travel in time or space or dimensions and fix all the problems. Anyway, it's just a crazy thrill ride. This wonderful Korean movie, which, while it's set in a high school, I'm not even sure if you ever see a teacher, and the kids just bully each other and beat each other and kill each other, and it's just nuts. Such a fun ride, though. I mean, when I saw it, I was just like, there's no way I can't play this at MidWest WeirdFest. It fits the programming protocol so well. And Wayne was asking, where do we find that? And I'm not sure if he was talking about Trance, which I guess you'd have to come to the festival to see. I don't think it's anywhere else available at the moment, or at other festivals, or if he was talking about Jason Hewlett's work, which I think he would just go to. I think it's on Paranormal Network now, but but
you can also find it through Joe Blow, because I remember
Joe Blow or Arrow in the Head. I think if you search "We Want to Believe," you would find it on YouTube. I'm pretty sure. So that's the 4 o'clock on the Sunday wrapped up, and following Trance and following Paranormal Visions.
I actually do have Trance.
Oh, you do? Thank you for reminding me. I get ahead of myself all the time.
I grabbed it all.
Let's play Trance then. Give people the idea of the bonkers world of trance that I was talking about.
Yeah, there it is.
전압은 10억 볼트 전류전 수만한 배야.
그러니까 네 말은 나노철을 이용해 실험을 하겠다?
넌 궁금하지 않아? 걘 우리랑은 차원이 달라. 나노철이라면 트랜스 상태에 진입할 수 있어.
트랜스?
일종의 전자지능. 고도의 전압으로 두뇌 신경 패턴을 교란하고 심필 네트워크를 새롭게 배치해 전자 형태로 변형시킨다는 가설.
트랜스 휴먼이 된다고?
The world of trance
I
stops you
guess that
from,
was it. That's all I got.
from showing any more of their secrets. Anyway, it's it's a fun movie. It's a great roller coaster.
Let me get rid of that one.
And
Okay.
okay, so as I was saying, after trance screens at 4 p.m. and the paranormal shorts do as well, and another in one of the plexes at the Micon downtown, we have this amazing film called I Can't Sleep from director Gina Rose, and it's a science fiction film with a story inside a story, and it's this incredibly human film, which at these times just seemed incredibly refreshing, about human relationships and optimism in the face of all kinds of extraordinary and frightening circumstances. And it's a wonderful film, wonderful cast. I really felt good after watching it. I'm not sure how many films I watch as a programmer of underground and horror film festivals and I feel good after watching. I feel, oh, that was like, spiritually refreshing or something. But after I Can't Sleep, I really liked it. I loved I wish I knew the band. They have a wonderful band that does the score.
Oh yeah.
It's just a fantastic sound in the movie, fantastic cast, and a really moving story, a clever story as well. So I'd encourage people, especially people who want a lift from the current doldrums, to get along to see I Can't Sleep on the Sunday, because it's an amazing movie, and that plays at 6 p.m.
Yeah, that one I watched. It's good.
Do you have a trailer for it?
Yes, I do. Let's find that one. Can't sleep. There we go.
I'm a writer, but I have a problem where I can't finish any of my stories. When I got home from work tonight, I had this thought that I could either finish the story I'm working on right now or have a nervous breakdown.
And?
I'm working on it.
The nervous breakdown?
No, the story.
What's your first story about?
Tonight in Channel 2's Mike Caesar is on the streets of Oakland, asking local residents how they feel about this historic event.
Yeah, I'm excited about the aliens coming tonight, I guess. It's been about 2.5 years, so it's about time. It's 2.5 years since we got that message that they were coming at all or whatever. And, something about light speed or sound speed, or I really didn't understand it. From what I understand, they can't even travel that fast to begin with. But yeah, it's about time.
What do you think you're going to do next with this then? Where's it going to go?
I just wish everyone would shut up about the stupid alien arrival. And anyway, I have to work late tonight. So even if I wanted to go, I wouldn't be able to.
Did it freak? Oh, I only got a certain version of it. It stopped.
We had Lee say, what would life be like without the occasional nervous breakdown? Indeed, I think we've all had nervous breakdowns in this last year. And Wayne commented as well and said he was actually asking where we could see your shows, Haunted Jen. So you could see that by just looking for Talking Weird on YouTube or going to charlesfort.org.
Yeah.
And you can click through on charlesfort.org to the Haunted Jen episode. So thanks for asking that. Thanks for asking that, Wayne. And so yeah, it's like I said, I Can't Sleep is a wonderful film. It's special. It's different to anything I think I've ever programmed before. A very unique movie, probably very different to most films I've ever seen before. And following that, while we're talking about extraterrestrial invasion and the like in I Can't Sleep, we mentioned before AV Super Sunshine and Philomena Victor, who we had on the show last week, and I encourage people to listen to that episode. And at 7 p.m. on Sunday, March 7, we're screening the feature documentary Alien Abduction, directed by Jared Segal, which was written and produced and stars both AV Super Sunshine and Philomena Victor, who are both going to be at the festival to introduce the Alien Abduction documentary and to engage in a Q&A with the audience afterwards. And it's a fascinating film. And I won't talk too much about the case because we covered it in depth last week. So again, go back and watch last week's show. But why don't you roll the trailer if you have the Alien Abduction trailer there?
Look for that.
And it's a fairly new abduction story. Like, I don't think it's Jen and I were talking about this earlier, weren't we, baby? We were saying I don't think it's yet really broken into the paranormal podcast realm or anything. So it's an interesting story that the best way for you to get a handle on it is to come and see the documentary, ideally, or listen to the show, or listen to the show last week if you're nowhere near Eau Claire, and hear AV and Phil.
Full on, memories included. Alien abduction.
AV's like, what just happened? Tell me everything.
Alien abduction. Are you experienced? It's time.
We felt at peace.
Come and take us. We're not.
We felt at peace.
With belly aches, we represent.
Like we had been preparing our whole lives.
Mankind with contracts to be signed. Flying through outer space.
We felt at peace.
A flying saucer's got no seatbelts, baby.
Like we had been
space trucking.
Preparing our whole lives.
Are you experienced? Nothing but me and you.
Imagine an event so extraordinary.
They sound like crazy people.
It would change your identity forever.
I fully believe in that.
As crazy as this may seem, what you're about to watch is real.
They've taken us to some far off.
The event itself may have been pre-planned centuries prior.
Walls are ceiling.
You tell they're little guys. You call some people with this kind of information and they run away. Try to find some answers. Try to find some help.
You want to see alien abduction.
I know I sound just like him, but I can assure you I am not Bob.
And then I went off planet with Andy.
They also time travel. Everybody would look frozen. So you literally could fly around and grab a Coke out of someone's hand and put it in someone else's hand.
They can take you out of a moving car and put you back in.
Then all of a sudden you were on a spacecraft?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. If it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't believe it either.
Now I just want to start talking about that abduction case because it's fantastic. I won't because we did a whole episode on it. But what I will say about that film, which I liked a lot, is the documentarian is actually hostile. Like it's not like a lot of UFO or paranormal documentaries you watch. Like, he grills AV and Philomena. In fact, you said you were really uncomfortable when you were watching it because he's so tough on them.
Yeah, I don't know why I was so sensitive to it, but I was. I was just like, oh my goodness. It was so stressful. But yeah, he was just trying to break them. That's what he was trying to do.
Yeah. And you don't often see that in a documentary about this kind of subject matter. So that makes it worth the watch alone. Fascinating story anyway.
Yeah.
But we should start getting ready to wrap up because we're almost 15 minutes over our normally hour anyway, which is fine. But I saved an incredible movie for the closing night film. Why then I don't like to I was trying to think of what to say about this film because I like it so much. I adore this movie. It's a film called Externo by Jonathan Taub and Leandro Taub, who directed it together. And Leandro is also the star of the movie, and he's just a powerhouse with his brother, a director, and as a star. It's essentially a two-hander. There are other voices and other kind of presences that come into it, but it's mainly Leandro and what's the name of the actress? Elizabeth Elric. I had to look it up because I actually forgot. But it's kind of the best way that I think I described it in the show notes is it's like an allegory for how the world probably runs, like the hidden power structures that control our social, cultural, and economic reality. But the movie itself is essentially about this businessman, as they call him, who has from $2,000 decides to take over the world with an initial $2,000 investment, and how he does it. And when you're watching him like making the phone calls and plotting and doing it, you're thinking that's probably pretty much how the world runs. And it's beautifully shot. It's this gorgeous movie in scope, which you don't often see, which people don't know, that extra wide screen kind of, Lawrence of Arabia looking cinema that you don't often see in films at a festival. Beautifully shot, beautifully acted, the cleverest story. And you walk out of it going, did I just have some incredible revelation about the reality that I live in? So get along to see Externo. And if you can't see it at the festival, try to find it whenever it becomes available because it's a powerhouse of a film. I was just blown away by it when I saw it. And that's closing night.
Can we show it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I got it.
Play it then if you got it. If you got it, flaunt it, as they say.
Got it.
Flaunt that Externo goodness.
I hope it plays right because it looks really thin. Yeah, there's the white one.
It will be an unprecedented campaign. I know there will be strong retaliations. Maybe we will have to change governments.
The deadly spive disease has spread in Namibia with an increasing...
There are no accidents in this world. A politician falls, another rises.
New president of Argentina.
But the strongest decide. There is no democracy. This is war.
Now what I want is for the populations of these countries to consume our food, to use our medicine, to occupy our buildings, to invest in our banks, to watch our television programs and films, to surf our webs, to use our electricity and gasoline, to drive our cars. I want to gain the majority of the market share of each and every industries in these countries. I want to ask you something.
I'm ready.
Just so good. I shouldn't have favorites. I'm not going to have a favorite at this festival, but that's one of my favorite films I've watched, period, probably for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, it blew me away. We live in a time where politicians and talking heads talk about a great reset. And here we have this movie which has somebody intentionally talk about the redesign of the world. Oh, and Lee Steiner said that he loves the cinematography. Thank you so much, Lee. Yeah, you're going to get a blast out of that movie. Yeah. It's a stunning film, both in story and imagery and everything else. So I'm looking forward to playing it for you and for everybody who comes to see it on closing night at MidWest WeirdFest.
Yeah, it looks.
And I think that's about it. You're going to be at MidWest WeirdFest, Jen. You're coming in from Missouri.
Yes, I figured it out how to do it. So all good.
And this will be your second year here. which is fantastic. And we have wonderful people before we close off supporting us this year. We had Greg Newkirk from Planet Weird, who was a guest last year. And also we screened Hellier. And this year he jumped on the Indiegogo with a very big donation. We have Spooky Boo Cinema with a very big donation as well. We have Wrong Rule Podcast, who James from that show actually came to MidWest WeirdFest in year 1, who was introduced to me by Wayne Klingman. So thank you for that, Wayne. And I guess we're kind of supporting it as well, charlesfort.org. We pick up the extra slack. So it's nice to have, a number of organizations behind the festival this year, because COVID hit us hard like it hit everybody hard. And we had a wonderful, successful Indiegogo campaign, which we raised to 109% of what we needed to get us there. And half of that goes to the Mycon Cinema. And we're fulfilling perks at the moment. In fact, today, with my 5-year-old daughter climbing all over me, trying to distract me, I started fulfilling the T-shirt order perks of that. And I expect tomorrow to finish that. And probably by Monday, when I say finish, it goes through our print provider and then ships out. So anybody out there waiting for a perk, of course, the season pass holders who bought dog tags, Lee's one of those dog tags will be waiting for you at the Mycon Cinema on opening night. All the other perks will be shipping within the next week or so. And so thank you to everybody who made it possible this year. And thank you to everybody who listened to the show tonight.
Yes. Thank you.
And I guess from me in my cabin in the North Woods.
Yes.
And from my co-host in deep
Jenn
down
Missouri.
Good night and keep it weird.
Keep it weird.
Thank you for joining us tonight. If you're interested in checking out more episodes, you can find us at talkingweird.com. If you haven't already, please like the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Talking Weird Podcast. Make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing to Talking Weird. We're available on most podcast platforms and YouTube. And if you do enjoy the show, please leave us a review. Dean and I would really appreciate it. Until then, stay safe and keep it weird.